Sound the great shofar for our freedom. Raise the ensign to gather our exiles and gather us from the four corners of the earth. Blessed are you, O Yahweh, who gathers the dispersed of his people, Israel. Praise Yah. So that was just again the blowing of the shofar as led by Adonai. Just put in my heart to include that on in the beginning of each episode. Praise Yah, bless you, and here we are again with another episode, Salt and Light. Welcome. Um, the so blessings in Yah and Yeshua HaMashiach. This is Salt and Light, your voice for bookable encouragement and teaching from the Word of Yah. Let us, as followers of Yeshua, our Messiah, be the salt and the light, as in Matthew 5:13-16. This is where truth is shared and discussed, so you and the body may be encouraged and challenged and grow together. I pray everyone is safe and well. For those who are new to this podcast, welcome. For those who are returning, welcome back. It's great to have you here. Salt and Light is available on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please visit my pages on social media where the links are found to take you to the website and also the Patreon link to give and support the work of this ministry as the Lord leads. We bless you and we thank you. We are available on Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, Deezer, Buzzsprout, and many more. Salt and Light comes to you from the Alitu app. Don't forget to subscribe to Salt and Light channel on YouTube as well. And give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Please like and share the link. Please visit us at Salt and Light Art on Facebook group page and on YouTube as well for other ministry work where you can see pics, reels of past and upcoming paintings and art projects. Your support helps reach more people for the kingdom of Elohim and to level up as a podcast and to grow this ministry. Once again, thank you for all your support and your prayers. We all need encouragement right now. Be blessed and shalom in the name of Yeshua. I love you all. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. So again, welcome to yet another episode of Salt and Light. I did do an episode last week. So here again, a week later, I'm bringing another episode. So, and as I explained, that may change. It's all by the leading of the Ruach HaKodesh, and then as well as some episodes might just take more time to do research and to study. And then some episodes may not take that long. So the Ruach, the Spirit just led me to do an episode this week as well. Last episode was on AI, and we spoke about just the, just some of the false warnings from people that are again warning about the dangers of AI, if you will, and we need to have discernment and wisdom. This episode also, we always need to have discernment and wisdom as people of Yahweh, and also just not to be distracted by all of these things. And there is quite a bit going on, as there always is. There's just so much going on in the world. I can't really talk about all of it. For sake of time, I'm not going to touch upon a few things in this episode, but this episode is mainly about the movie, The Sound of Freedom, and just some of the controversies surrounding the film. So before we get into that, I do just want to, there will be some sharing of some scriptures, but again, not too many this episode. And as I mentioned last episode, just keep me in prayer as well. I am quite busy. The Lord has put in my heart to start writing a book. So writing a book is no easy task. There is so much involved with obviously writing and drafting and then rewriting and then editing and then all of these things. So your prayers will be much appreciated regarding that. So yeah, the episode I did last week only had like 4 views so far, which is again, just trusting Yah. The episode before that I had 576. So again, I'm not in it for the likes or what have you. I'm just here to honor the Father and just put in His heart, what he's put in my heart to do, and just to be obedient to that. Um, you know, he hasn't told me to stop doing episodes. He has not told me to walk away from this ministry as of yet. I don't know if he will. Just another note, again, another thing to take with a grain of salt is I happened upon someone had let me know or put me on to a video. Uh, you can look it up on YouTube. It's out there. It's a ministry called Messiah 2030. Again, take with a grain of salt regarding the prophetic messianic timeline. I think it's in two parts. It is quite lengthy. It's like 2 hours. So my wife and I just breaking it up. We haven't finished watching the whole thing. Um, Again, we just have to weigh these things, right? Take it with a grain of salt regarding, and we the Bible does say we're not to we won't know the day or the hour. Only the Father knows, but we are encouraged to discern the seasons, right? So the year is something that we are encouraged to find out about. Again, with everything else, a degree of certainty, or we really can't be certain. Uh, regarding prophecy and all these things, right? But it definitely was interesting. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said, we're watching it. We're in the process of watching it. Um, and again, with anything else, you have to weigh. They do speak. They quote a little bit from the Apocrypha. From the Book of Enoch and all that. So again, weigh these things. There are many followers of Yah who don't believe in reading the Apocrypha. It's not inspired works, and they could be right. They're not may not be inspired by the Ruach Hakodesh, but they are works of antiquity. There are some that have more validity than others, and so on and so forth. So just test these things, weigh them, and just move on. There are some things I just want to touch upon before we get into talking about the movie, The Sound of Freedom. Um, just a few things regarding, like, right, what's going on in the world, without getting too much into it, because I'm not sure the Ruach HaKodesh might lead me to do an episode on these things um, by themselves. So right now, just introducing. I don't know if you ever heard. Just look it up. It's not something that's secret. Introducing the World ID and SDK. World ID is a new privacy first protocol that brings global proof of personhood to the internet. World ID is a new privacy first decentralized identity protocol. It enables seamless sign into websites, mobile apps, and crypto dApps while proving you're a unique and real person without sharing personal data like names, emails, etc. World ID supports multiple types of personhood verifications at launch. This includes phone number verification for easy access to anyone with a smartphone, and or biometric verification for extreme accuracy, easy access for mobile and web crypto apps, and so on and so forth. So you can look it up. I believe let me see here. Yeah. Sam Altman is the CEO of WorldCoin. And just speaking about digital identity, he is the founder of, I believe it's OpenAI. So basically, they want us to prove that we're human, and all of these things. So if you look up WorldCoin, more than 3 years ago, they founded a WorldCoin with the ambition of creating a new identity financial network owned by everyone. The rollout begins today. If successful, we believe WorldCoin could drastically increase economic opportunity, scale a reliable solution for distinguishing humans from AI online while preserving privacy, enable global democratic processes, and eventually shows a potential path to AI-funded UBI. WorldCoin consists of a privacy preserving digital identity, and where laws allow a digital currency received simply for being human. We hope that where the rules are less clear, such as the US, steps will be taken so more people can benefit from both. You can now download World App, the first protocol compatible wallet, and reserve your share. So on and even at the you can look this up also. This is another agenda. This falls right in with the World Economic Forum and the COP, right? The Conference of the Parties, which is, if you don't know, it's a supreme decision-making body of the convention. All states that are parties to the convention are represented at the COP, at which they review the implementation of the convention and other legal instruments that the COP adopts and take decisions necessary to promote the effective implementation of the convention, including institutional and administrative arrangements. So again, you could look them up, the Conference of the Parties, and so on and so forth. So it's really, just part of the agenda. It's demonic. We have to, again, just can't stress enough that we as people of Yahweh, we as followers of Yeshua need to have discernment and wisdom in these times. We may not have as much time as we would like to think regarding prophecy. The Bible says we are always to be on watch and be expectant of his return. We don't know when it will be, but the Bible does say he will come as a thief in the night. So our job is to just a part of our job is to stand watch, be prepared, and be vigilant, and just wait on him. But we need to be prepared. It shouldn't take us by surprise for those who are watching. So, and let our lamps be found with oil in them. Let me just, there's a lot of, now regarding, I'm not going to go into the Barbie movie and all of these things. That's like, again, just another thing that falling in line with the agenda. I'm going to pull something up real quick that I saw today, which is really, really disturbing. Just let alone the Barbie movie, right? And all of the agendas and narratives that are weaved into that, into the movie itself and things. I saw something on Facebook that regarding a Barbie Ouija board, a mini Barbie and a human-sized Ouija boards. We just got to keep in mind that, again, Ouija boards and all of these things are demonic doorways set up for our children. Ouija boards are being fabricated in such a way to seduce innocent children. The Barbie Ouija board has been specifically designed for sleepovers or slumber parties for young girls. Please be in prayer against these open doorways for the younger generation and the parents who are so cleverly deceived and purchased without knowing the dangers of it. Ouija boards are open doorways to the demonic, even if when just using the board once or possessing it in the home, no matter how innocent it looks, there's a great evil attached to it, just lying in wait. It shows some images of it. Barbie Ouija. Again, we could look at scriptures, Deuteronomy 7:26, and you shall not bring an abominable thing into your house and become devoted to destruction like it. You shall utterly detest and abhor it, for it is devoted to destruction. Right? Hold on. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 to 12. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer or a medium or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. So, and needs to say, much prayers are needed also because the devil is after our children. He's been after our children and the next generation for a long, long time. Just as Moses could not go into the promised land. He was able to see it from afar, but he wasn't able to go into it because of his disobedience. Um, God raised up the next generation. He raised up Joshua, and God is always looking to the next generation, right? So that's why the devil is so hell bent on trying to take them out and trying to take them out very early. The earlier, the better is so according to him, right? So, let's be on guard for that. Let's be praying for our children, praying for the parents, and all of these things. So, without further ado, I digress now, and let me again. This episode is about the sound of freedom. Um, I did see it, saw it with some brothers from the congregation. It was a blessing. I ought to say the movie was very powerful and had really good acting. Now, regarding, let me just talk about the movie itself. Um, for those who do not know, this movie actually supposed to open up years ago, but it never took off. It never made it into theaters. So but praise God that it's out in theaters now. The darkness about regarding what the movie is about and just human trafficking, sex trafficking, all of these things is being exposed. Um, so there's a few articles. And before I start reading, let me just read some scriptures. And like I said, it's just a few of them. Uh, regarding just keeping in mind that uh, our Creator is on the throne. No matter what is going on in the world, be encouraged. Those who are in Yeshua, right? Those who are following Him, striving, right, to be obedient, walking in obedience, walking in the Spirit and not in the flesh. Those who are covered by the blood. Let us rejoice, even as we see the days approaching. Let us encourage one another. Let us sharpen one another. Let us be in unity. Um, as the days get darker and darker, um, He is our hope. He is the life, the resurrection and life. He is the light of the world, and we are to be the light of the world. So I'm going to be reading from the Tree of Life version and reading Revelation chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. And this is again just an encouragement to me as well, and to those who may listen to this. After these things, I looked, and behold, a door was standing open in heaven. And the first voice which I heard speaking with me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after these things." Immediately I was in the Ruach in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was standing in heaven, and one seated on the throne, and the one who was seated was like jasper and chameleon in appearance, and a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance around the throne, with 24 thrones, and seated on the thrones were 24 elders, dressed in white robes with golden crowns on their heads, and out from the throne come flashes of lightning and rumblings and clashes of thunder, and 7 torches of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne was something like a sea of glass, like crystal. In the middle of the throne and around it were 4 living creatures full of eyes in front and behind. The first living creature was like a lion. The second living creature was like an ox. The third living creature had a face like a man. And the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. The 4 living creatures, having 6 wings, were full of eyes all around. Within, they do not rest day or night, chanting, "Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh, Adonai Eloheinu Tiovat, Asher Hayat V'ohu Ziraval. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God of hosts, who was and who is to come." Right? Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh just means holy, holy, holy. And whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to the one seated on the throne, who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fell down before the one seated on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. And they throw their crowns down before the throne, chanting, "Worthy are you, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and because of your will, they existed and were created." Praise Yah. So just, again, a reminder of that he sits on the throne. He sits above the flood. No matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what is going on in the world, take heart. He is on the throne. So praise Yah for that. I just want to read from the book of James, which is really, his Hebrew name is Jacob, Hakov. Be reading again from the Tree of Life version. Just reading one verse in James chapter 1, verse 5. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to him all without hesitation and without reproach, and it will be given to him. So again, concerning and regarding having wisdom, right? We are to have wisdom. We need to have wisdom so much in these times that we are living in, because there's just so much deception, so much going on regarding programming and narratives. And what is a narrative? A narrative is just a story. So if you see even on the media, they don't do journalism anymore. They haven't done journalism in years. They just tell stories, and try to manipulate the masses into believing a certain narrative. They don't report on news anymore. They don't do old-fashioned journalism. Those days are over. So I'm reading Proverbs 1:7, again from the Tree of Life version. Says that the wisdom of parents, right? So chapter 1, verse 7, the fear of Adonai is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. So again, have discipline. It is of utmost importance. Have discernment surrounding these things. So praise Yah. So again, we are, and I touched upon this last week, we are in a moral landslide right now, a moral decay. There's just an increase in depravity and utter chaos, and greed is growing, evil is growing, but Yah is still in control and on his throne. So that's again why I read Revelation chapter 4, 1 through 11. So The Sound of Freedom. Again, great movie. Angel Studios, right? Put it out. Sound of Freedom, a gripping story of one man's crusade to save children from the world of sex traffickers. Opened on the 4th of July, and according to Fox News, on its first day, the film took the #1 spot at the box office, grossing over $14 million. Based on the true story of Tim Ballard, a former special agent for Homeland Security, Sound of Freedom leads moviegoers into the heartbreaking world of child sex trafficking. The movie opens when Ballard, portrayed by Jim Caviezel, apprehends a man for possessing child pornography. Ballard, who has put pedophiles behind bars, has not saved the actual children, decides he needs to do more. In the movie, he begins his quest to find those children, and one in particular. Right? In real life, Ballard did embark on that same quest to free children. He left Homeland Security and founded a nonprofit called Operation Underground Railroad. His team consists of former law enforcement and military personnel who employ covert operations to rescue victims from brothels, slave markets, and other trafficking situations. Our mission is to fight sexual exploitation of children around the world, no matter where that might be. According to the site, we go to the darkest corners of the world to assist law enforcement in rescuing children and ensure ongoing aftercare. They do this because, as the main theme of the movie cries out, God's children are not for sale. Is a special message at the end of the movie tells viewers that child trafficking has risen to alarming proportions throughout the world, and though it is not only children who are stolen and trafficked, it is children who are the most vulnerable. That is why we cannot ignore the devastating truth that every day around the world, children are bought and sold into sexual slavery. the International Labor Organization wrote a document in 2017 entitled Global Estimates of Modern Slavery, estimating that worldwide in 2016, 1 million children under 18 were victims of commercial sexual exploitation, which it defines as the use, procuring, or offering of children for prostitution or pornography. Imagine the terror, the loneliness, and the brutality that these children endure. Most people cannot even fathom harming a child, but for too many in this world, a child is a commodity more priceless than drugs. As the movie points out, a child can be sold several times a day for many years. Drugs can be sold only once. And while the real life Ballard and his team have journeyed to some of the darkest part of the world, the true darkness to be found is in the hearts of the men and women who buy, sell, and abuse children. Again, children desperately need our help. At the end of the movie, actor Jim Caviezel challenges viewers to take action. He passes the proverbial baton to us because sex trafficking is not a problem that any one person can solve on his own. It is something that, as a global community, must all undertake. Efforts begin at home, and they begin with awareness, education, and action. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services offers important information on its website to teach people to recognize signs that a child is being trafficked and to alert them to the warning signs of those who might be vulnerable to trafficking. This is vital information to know. Uh, you can just look up that. If you haven't seen the movie, you could definitely look it up. Now, it says here is one article in the stream. Sound of Freedom opened my eyes. This article was written July 12th by Chenyuan Snyder. I was quick to see the movie Sound of Freedom. Well, actually, I was not quick to see, I was not quick to see the movie Sound of Freedom, even as it was about to start. I wasn't sure I could mentally manage it. It turned out, however, that it was in every respect better than what I had anticipated. The film tells of the heroic deeds of Tim Ballard, played by Jim Caviezel, a former special agent who moved on to independent efforts rescuing children caught in child sex trafficking. Child sex trafficking is not only a new topic for me, nor for most Americans. A few years ago, some people made quite a bit of noise about Sacramento, where my family resides, being the hotspot for it. The subject was so vile, I didn't know how to respond, nor did I see in what way I could relate to it. There was an invisible chasm between me and the dark world running child sex rings. It's much easier to look away than to confront evil when evil, especially evil that overwhelms our emotions. I would surmise the same would be true of slavery in antebellum America. Day-to-day exposure didn't motivate most Americans to end that evil. Instead, a novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, laid the emotional groundwork, preparing America for the long, painful journey to abolition. It was a masterpiece in multiple ways, reflecting reality while being much bigger than life, thus moving hearts and compelling people into action. I believe Sound of Freedom is another such magnum opus. A powerful resolve to fight evil. The same restraints is also demonstrated in Caviezel's superb portrayal of Tim Ballard. Caviezel projects a powerful emotion without typical Hollywood shouting and screaming. His utmost disgust toward what had been done to the children and his resolve to free them are powerful and fierce, yet his performance reminds me of a volcano at rest, potent in power, yet restrained in expression. So music and cinema that stir the soul. The movie succeeds not only through its story, but also through its soundtrack, music that will haunt me for a long time to come. And by taking full advantage of the visual art of cinematography, stunning images, vibrant colors, and the contrast of light and dark create a poignant atmosphere, augmenting the message of the story. Contrast carries the story in another way as well. Right after an intense scene in which over 50 children were rescued, while my own heart was still pounding, haunted by what had happened to these young kids, we see them playing a game of clapping hands together. Their innocence and their longing for normal childhood touched me profoundly. I could not help but remember Jesus' words: it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were cast into the sea. Hell must have reserved a special place for those who injure the souls of innocent children. When the movie ended, child sex trafficking was no longer a distant issue for me. No longer was I a spectator standing aloof, uh, Rocio and her brother Miguel, two precious children portrayed in the film, stopped being other people's kids. They began to look more like my daughter and son. The shocking number of trafficked children have been meaningless for me, but the story of these two young children has brought that abstract number to life. Countless Rocios and Miguels still suffer from unimaginable cruelty. A pronounced line between light and darkness. Mainstream media has done nothing but demonize this movie. This might surprise us, but it shouldn't. As spiritual warfare intensifies, the line between light and darkness become increasingly pronounced. There's no middle ground. One can either remain in the darkness or stay in the light. And what else can we expect from those who choose to remain in the darkness? All right. We who seek to live in the light must ask ourselves if Uncle Tom's Cabin could ignite the fight for emancipation. Shouldn't child sex trafficking, slavery in its most evil form, generate an even stronger response? If not, something must be terribly wrong with us. The tragedy of modern man is not what knows less and less about the meaning of his life, but that it bothers him less and less. Have Christians become so indistinguishable from the world that they are indifferent to the evil around them? All right. So God has spoken through this movie. Child sex trafficking is a crime that heaven cannot tolerate. Neither should we. Records show that during last 2 years alone, more than 350,000 unaccompanied minors entered across our borders, and 85,000 of them disappeared into dark corners. If we expect Yah to continue shedding his grace on this country, we must not remain silent. This great evil poses an existential spiritual threat to our nation. If we refuse to purge it from our land, our country will look like Sodom and Gomorrah, and we with it. It took a civil war to end America's slavery in the 1800s. That was extreme, but it was overall the right thing to do. If it takes extreme measures to end today's slavery, then so be it. If we must not stop till we end child sex trafficking in America. We must expose those who are engaged in this crime, those who have permitted it, and those who have benefited from it. Their punishment must be severe. Our word must be, watch out, God has spoken. Your power, your position, and your fame will not save you. We are coming after you for the sake of justice, and especially for the children. So, interesting article. But, what I say about that is, let's just also be mindful that we are not the ones who extinguish the darkness. It's Yahweh himself. If the Ruach HaKodesh puts in your heart to act in a certain way, to take action, if you will, by either giving money to certain organizations or to be directly involved somehow, or even to be involved through a ministry. If the Holy Spirit's put that in your heart, then do that. But we are not the ones who get rid of the evil, if you will. But we should sound the alarm. We should definitely not be silent about it, and we shouldn't be indifferent to evil, right? As followers of Yahweh, right? Obviously, but God is the God of justice and mercy, and he is the one who will eventually right all the wrongs, right? So, but we definitely should be sitting on our hands about it, and I'm definitely in agreement with the point that was brought up in that article about the movie Sound of Freedom being demonized in the media. It definitely is. I could not believe how much controversy is surrounding, and I really can't believe. Let me just say this, and this is where forgive me if I'm on my soapbox right now, but I'm very zealous about these things because, again, the people of Yahweh, those who are truly called by his name, right, who seek his face, who love him, who love his Torah, who abide in his commands, right, his mitzvot, then we really shouldn't be divided over these things. We shouldn't be distracted. We shouldn't say, at least in my opinion, that I'm not going to see this movie or support this movie because of the stigma surrounding the movie, right? Does that make sense? The underlying message behind the movie should far surpass all of the quote unquote controversy surrounding it, right? Does that make sense? Um, that's another reason why generally I wouldn't make episodes regarding movies. There's so much better things to talk about, but but the Ruha Hakodesh has really impressed upon my heart to do an episode on this particular movie, right? Because it is again a powerful movie. Um, and the fact that the enemy has brought so much contention regarding this movie, even within Christianity, within Christian circles, like it's really amazing to me. And I just been praying for the people that call themselves Christians that have made videos upon videos on social media, just demonizing the movie. Uh, uh, and it's really uh, disheartening. It really is. So, like I said, I saw the movie, and we'll, I'm gonna start talking about that in a second. All the right wing conspiracy theorists, and all these things. Here's one thing that I happened across on social media now. Um, says, and this was by someone I guess who calls themselves a Christian. Who right these days of deception climaxing. Grateful minister, blah blah blah. I'm not going to mention the name for keeping us accountable as iron sharpens iron. Right, praying for him. This is regarding the actor Jim Caviezel, who obviously played the lead role in the movie The Sound of Freedom. Uh, this is the lead actor from the new movie Sound of Freedom that everyone's talking about. And just like I always show you, signs and symbols rule this world, and you will always know them by their fruit. Satan owns and runs the entertainment industry. Okay, that I'm pretty much in agreement with. Um, don't think for a second that any of these people in Hollywood are on your side. They're all in on it. Open your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. This movie is being played in theaters because they want you to watch it. Just another perfect example of controlled opposition. Now, this post has pictures, various different pictures of just Caviezel just uh putting his hand up, and there's symbols, right? There's hand symbols that you put it a certain way. That's either 666 or the Freemasons, or just covering one eye, right, and all that. So that's what the post has pictures of him doing, just covering one eye. There's one, and all that. So that's just one. Um, go down here to okay. Uh, Here's another one on now. This I didn't even know about. Someone had let me in. Told me about this the other day. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Okay, there's one. Let me show this right here. Uh, there is even talk of. Let me see here. Um, that the real life person, right? Tim Ballard, right? The person whom Jim Caviezel played in the movie, but the real life Tim Ballard was said to be associated with Freemasonry, with the Freemasons. So take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's true or not. And also Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel, right, are quote unquote are in bed with the Roman Church. So all of these things. So even if that's true, this is my point. Even if those things are true, certainly I'm not in agreement with that. I'm not in agreement with the agendas behind organized religion and the Roman Catholic Church, and definitely not Freemasonry. Freemasons are a cult, and so I'm definitely not in agreement with that. But should we boycott the movie because of those things? Now, some may say, yeah. Um, I don't agree with that, but again, that's my opinion. So that's why I'm making a video too. Like this episode also, it's just weigh these matters in your heart. You know, um, should we walk around boycotting the movie, talking bad about the movie because of these things? I mean, just consider this. Wouldn't that be so perfect for the enemy also? So that even we as people of Yahweh are boycotting this movie, talking bad about this movie, and thereby the message behind it continues to stay in the dark. There's no light. There's not more and more light exposing it. No, because we're contributing to the covering up of it because we just don't want to see it because of all these things. It's like, really? I don't get it, you know? Um, so anyway, we'll go on and on to this here is from the Advocate. Um, Sound of Freedom, a movie about heroic American saving children from traffickers in Colombia, is a surprise box office hit of the summer, but it's also getting attention because the man at the center of the film and the actor who plays him embrace QAnon conspiracy theories, right? If you don't know what QAnon is, look it up, Google it. When you talk about conspiracy theories, you almost cannot even, you almost can't help but mention QAnon. So, what is Sound of Freedom about? Again, the film star. I'm not going to read all that because we read all that. What the movie's about. And so, what is QAnon? QAnon adherents have said they hope the movie brings more into the fold. QAnon is named for a person identifying only as Q, who began posting conspiracy theories on the website 4chan in 2017. Chief among them is the false belief that a highly organized network of global elites are kidnapping children. Having sex with them and harvesting their blood. The Washington Post explains a similar theory that predated QAnon was Pizzagate, which falsely claimed that a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant was the headquarters of a pedophile ring that included Bill and Hillary Clinton. It led an armed man to attack the restaurant in 2016. Kazivo recently appeared on Steve Bannon's podcast and promoted a QAnon theory that a cabal is targeting children in order to harvest a chemical called adrenochrome from their bodies. Adrenochrome is 10 times more potent than heroin and has some mystical qualities as far as making you look younger, the actor said on Bannon's show, according to NPR. Gazebo had made similar comments at a QAnon-related conference in 2021 after the film was made, but 2 years before its release. If a child knows he's going to die, his body will secrete this adrenaline, he said, according to the Post. He also said Sound of Freedom was one of the best movies he ever made and was Academy Award level. Ballard likewise expressed belief in the adrenochrome theory in a recent interview with podcaster Jordan Peterson. Peterson, by the way, is well known for his anti-trans views. In years past, Ballard has made other wild claims such as that trafficked children were being shipped in storage cabinets marketed by online retailer Wayfair. Wow. Sound of Freedom doesn't mention adrenochrome harvesting, and in reality, adrenochrome is a relatively mundane chemical compound created by oxidizing adrenaline, the Post notes. But some observers worry that the film will win support for this claim, and indeed, QAnon believers are counting on it. New to Q, with the Sound of Freedom movie dominating the box office and giving Hollywood seizures, we have a lot of new eyes on us, reads a headline on one QAnon post. What is Sound of Freedom's other connections to QAnon is being marketed by two QAnon believers, is being embraced by this community, and its leading actor is a huge part of the QAnon community. Another right-winger who is embracing the film is Donald Trump, who is scheduled to host a screening Wednesday at his Trump National Golf Course in Bedminster, New Jersey. For Ballard, his fame also seems to be a way to win converts to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Wow, okay. Also known as the Mormon Church. Trafficking experts Vanessa Bouget and Avocadem wrote in a column published Wednesday in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He has stated as much regarding Operation Underground Railroad. This is particularly problematic for an anti-trafficking organization that can potentially use its position of influence to manipulate a various population into conversion. And they and others have expressed concern that Operation Underground Railroad, which Ballard recently left, and Sound of Freedom give an inaccurate picture of trafficking. While the film depicts children being kidnapped by strangers, the perpetrators of trafficking are more commonly people known to their victims. Elizabeth Campbell, co-director of the University of Michigan's Human Trafficking Clinic, told NPR. And while Ballard has endorsed a wall at the U.S.-Mexico border to stop trafficking, the vast majority of sex trafficking in the United States is perpetrated by American citizens on American victims, most of whom are women and girls of color. uh, Boucher and Camden wrote. Claims like Ballard's lead to bad policy and misdirected resource allocation. In addition, trafficking can take other forms besides sexual exploitation. These include forced labor. Campbell said in her NPR interview, it becomes easy for people to say, well, if I just spread a message that we need to support law enforcement in freeing those child victims, they don't have to do the hard work of asking what role they play in the purchasing of goods for forced labor, or they don't have to play the hard role of figuring out how do we reduce poverty and the sort of inherent vulnerability that comes with poverty that leads to this kind of exploitation, she said. Others have said that overseas police are sometimes complicit in trafficking or at least don't follow up with victims. In some cases, children who were rescued by Ballard's group were soon back on the streets. Sound of Freedom has grossed nearly 100 million in ticket sales in its first 2 weeks of release. That includes last weekend's take of 27 million, according to IMDb, second only to the new Mission Impossible film, although its 55 million gross doubled Sound of Freedom's showing. Sound of Freedom has been in the works for several years. 20th Century Studios was originally going to make the film, but those plans fell apart after Disney bought the company in 2019, the Post reports. The project eventually found a home with the religiously focused Angel Studios. Executive at Angel Studios have publicly distanced themselves from QAnon and said the movie doesn't promote conspiracy theories. So, again, take these things with a grain of salt, but these things are out there, folks. Right here, QAnon supporters are promoting Sound of Freedom. Here's why. Sound of Freedom, a Christian thriller about a former federal agent rescuing children from exploitation. In this summer's surprise box office hit, made for about $15 million. It earned almost as much as on its release day as the final installment of Indiana Jones and has raked in more than $85 million since opening earlier this month. But the movie is also being criticized as a vehicle for conspiracy theories and misleading depictions of human trafficking, landing it in the middle of the country's politically polarized culture wars. The film, based on real-life controversial anti-trafficking activists, is being heavily promoted in conservative media. Former President Donald Trump is hosting a screening on Wednesday at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. A big part of its success is an appeal from its star, Jim Caviezel, who comes on screen at the end, urging viewers to buy more tickets so other people can see it and help end child trafficking. It's a model distributor Angel Studios calls Pay It Forward. Caviezel, who previously played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, is also drawing attention to the film in other ways. For years, he's been a prominent promoter of the false, violent QAnon conspiracy theories, specifically the baseless claim that an international cabal of elites is abusing and killing children to extract a substance called adrenochrome. Again, the same thing. These wild claims have been deeply enmeshed with narratives about child trafficking in recent years, from the QAnon predecessor Pizzagate conspiracy theory, which falsely alleged a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. was home to a child sex ring, to false claims that online retailer Wayfair was selling children in the guise of furniture. Right. Despite Caviezel's comments, Sound of Freedom itself doesn't contain any reference to adrenochrome or other conspiracy theories. It was actually filmed before QAnon conspiracy theories became a widespread phenomenon. Executives at Angel Studios, the film's distributor, having publicly rejected any association with conspiracies, so have Tim Ballard, the former federal agent Caviezel plays in the movie, and his organization, Operation Underground Railroad. But Ballard recently told right-wing podcaster Jordan Peterson that claimed adrenochrome harvesting is real. His statements and Caviezel's have an impact on how Sound of Freedom is being received, said Mike Rothschild, author of The Storm is Upon Us, How QAnon Became a Movement, a Cult, and Conspiracy Theory of Everything. So all of this, you can look it up. There's just articles upon articles of these things. The dark reality, virtuality of a Hollywood blood harvesting conspiracy, a centuries-old anti-Semitic myth is spreading freely on far-right corners of social media, suggesting a new digital dark age has arrived. The dark ages were rife with plague, fanaticism, and accusations that Jews secretly fed off the blood of children. In 2020, we too are beset with plague, rampant medical misinformation, and a persistent rumor that global elites torture children to harvest the chemical adrenochrome from their blood, which they then inject in order to stay healthy and young. Right? And on with this Pizzagate stuff, and Google Trends showed significant spikes in searches for adrenochrome in March and June of 2020 is prevalent on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Reddit removed a dedicated adrenochrome subreddit on July 30th. On Friday, July 31st, conspiracy theories plan to hold the first Child Lives Matter protest in Hollywood to expose child trafficking, advertising the event with references to adrenochrome. The adrenochrome harvesting conspiracy theories is a potent example of hidden virtuality and the ways in which unpopular culture animates social media platforms outside the mainstream view. Named by researchers Britt Paris and Joan Donovan, hidden virtuality describes dominant content in specific pockets of the internet that are largely unseen by journalists and mass audiences, making them difficult for social media companies to identify and act upon. The impact of hidden virtuality can't be stopped by retroactively banning a few thousand Twitter accounts. It is an iterative, phenomenon that outpaces terms of service. Even with early intervention by Reddit and recent movements by Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok to crack down on QAnon, adrenochrome harvesting remains a mainstream conversation for some online communities. Toxic social attitudes spread virtually alongside hoaxes and disinformation. Adrenochrome harvesting isn't outwardly blamed on Jews, but on satanic and globalist elites. Dog whistle terms for the far right. The modern adrenochrome obsession is a permutation of blood libel and anti-Semitic myth that pervaded Europe during the Middle Ages, and a mutated strain of medical misinformation. So on and on and on. I'm not going to go into all. It's just so much. Is another one on Sound of Freedom misleads audiences about the horrible reality of human trafficking. Contrary to what is shown in Jim Caviezel's movie, most child trafficking victims know and trust their traffickers. So, one of the most coveted screening spots for any film is in the U.S. Capitol, with some of the world's most powerful people filling the audience. Important films such as Harriet and Lincoln have secured this prized location. On Tuesday, the film Sound of Freedom was shown in the Capitol Visitor Center as part of an event hosted by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Sound of Freedom, a new feature-length thriller starring Jim Caviezel, tells the story of a former U.S. Department of Homeland Security agent who works to rescue children from sex trafficking in Colombia. Like Harris and Lincoln, Sound of Freedom and the opportunity to draw audiences in and help them better understand significant moments in time and crisis in American history. Filmmakers took creative liberties with story about trafficking. Unfortunately, what many don't realize is that although Sound of Freedom is advertised as a true story, that story is highly fictionalized, with even Angel Studios, the film's distributor, acknowledging that it took creative liberties. In the film, Till Ballard, the main character played by Caviezel, embarks on a mission through the Colombian jungle to rescue two siblings from a well-organized machine firing cartel. No one should question the importance of raising awareness of human trafficking or of working creatively and diligently to keep kids safe from the horror of sexual exploitation. What all moviegoers, especially our nation's top lawmakers, must know, however, is that the depictions of child trafficking and the rescue tactics celebrated in this film are highly sensationalized, misleading, and do more harm than good. Contrary to what is shown in this film, most child trafficking victims know and trust their traffickers. They are not kidnapped by shadowy strangers off street corners. A Baylor Institute study found that less than 10% of child trafficker cases involve kidnapping. By highlighting false narrative and reinforcing inaccurate stereotypes, we condition ourselves to be on high alert for things like windowless vans, failing to notice actual signs of exploitation. In doing so, We may miss the economically and socially vulnerable young person lured into trafficking by offers of meals, gifts, shelter, or simple companionship. Moreover, while movies like this heighten our anxiety about perceived threats to children in public spaces, we may unwillingly ignore the online dangers young people face. In addition to problematic depictions of child trafficking, it is also troubling how Sound of Freedom glorifies rescue missions, disregarding decades of research and experience showing that international sting operations are dangerous, sometimes illegal, often unethical, and fail to dismantle or discourage human trafficking. While rescues and raids make for an action packed movie, they are far from the preferred response to any kind of human trafficking. Congress has power to help real life child trafficking victims. Instead of buying into false narrative of child trafficking or promoting outdated responses, Congress has the unique ability to help create a safer world for all kids. This means leading a global coalition of governments that commits to sharing information and increasing funding for survivor protection, prevention, and perpetrator persecution, real solutions that the McCain Institute is focused on advancing. It also means adopting new protections for children in the child welfare system, partnering with those who have lived experience the real life heroes of the anti-trafficking movement in policymaking and investing in technology to detect all forms of exploitation. While that kind of work won't make for a box office hit, it will mean fewer children are victimized by human traffickers, a goal we can all get behind. So again, take all that with a grain of salt. There's a lot of things, some of that, what I just read sounds very plausible. Um, so again, like I said, I saw the movie. It was a good movie. But again, these things, let us have discernment. Let us be aware of these things as well. Um, having read all that and taking it in, I still, my opinion is just, I still would have wanted to say it. I'm happy that I saw it. If I had to do it over again, I would still see it. So this stuff wouldn't deter me from seeing the movie. So that's just my opinion. Um, that's why it's always good to have discussion and to shed light on some things and to have dialogue about these things. Now, if it's your opinion that you don't want to see it or you really couldn't care less, then don't see it. you know. But here we are almost at the end of July. It's been out for about a month. Don't know how long it's going to stay in theaters. Right, it's a lot of movies coming out. It's already like the new Indiana Jones movie is out. Mission Impossible is out. Uh, um, The Flash and all of these things. So just be aware of these things, and of course the Barbie movie. uh, so have discernment, have wisdom, and again, I just pray also that blessed you. Um, you know, let us stay in unity and just love on one another, and just have conversations. Yesterday we were at Shabbat. It was a blessed time. It was an awesome word. It was a blessed time of fellowship after just having some really awesome conversations with some brothers. Um, and it was just a blessing. So I just pray that blessed you as well. Um, and that's all I have for this episode. Again, if you haven't seen the movie, if you want to see it, I go out and see it. Um, Again, there's just like I said, a lot of controversy surrounding the movie. You know, take it with a grain of salt, but again, just be mindful not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. So I don't, so um, at the time I saw the movie, I didn't know that there was so many conspiracies surrounding it. Especially didn't know about the adrenochrome and all of that. But like I said, I don't think that would have changed my my desire to see it. Especially if it had to do with also that was an opportunity for us for the men in the congregation to fellowship. So I would have not have liked to turn it down. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have uh, just for that alone. I said, well, yeah, let's go see it. Let's hang out. Let's have fellowship. Um, so that itself was a blessing as well. Um, so may Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May Adonai turn his face toward you and grant you shalom. Shema Israel. Adonai Ihulenu. Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Blessed be his glorious name forever and ever. Yeshua is the Messiah. He is the Prince of Peace, and he is Lord of all. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. So God bless you. May you have a blessed week ahead, and may he grant you his shalom, and again, make his face to shine upon you. May you have a blessed and safe week. In Yeshua's name, I love you all.